Hello YouTube world, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. So in today's video, I'm going to do airlines comparison, and specifically I'm going to do for airlines that I've personally used, and these are airlines that mostly travel around Southern Africa. So let's get into the video. So in this video, I'm going to compare these three airlines: AirLink, South African Airways, and Air Zambia. The first thing I want to compare them on is on punctuality. I think on my experience, among the three, the first two, South African Airways and Air Lusaka, they were good on punctuality. Like all the times that I'd flown with them, they were on time. They kept things like punctual and all of that. And I'd flown with AirLink twice. And on both times, there were some delays. Like on the first flight, I was flying from Cape Town to Joburg, and the flight delayed for like an hour. And on the second time I was flying back, same thing happened, but the duration was a bit slim, but it was still a delay. So I'm wondering if that's something that they do so often or not. Let me know in the comments down below if you've flown with any of the air flights and what was your experience with them in terms of punctuality. Did any of them keep time, or did any of them like lag behind? So number two, I'm going to compare these airlines based on the use of jet bridges or the tubes. So if you don't know what a tube is, or a jet bridge is literally that tube that connects the airport and the airplane. And it's mostly just for the convenience of the travelers and for the comfort. So it sort of just adds on to the whole experience of flying with that airline. Among the three airlines that I'm comparing today, Air Zambia and South African Airways, all the time that I'd flown with them, they were using jet bridges. So to say the experience was nice in that way. But I'd flown with AirLink 3 times, and in all the times that I'd flown with them, they didn't use jet bridges. And in one time, I'd sat with a guy and I mentioned that, and then apparently he lives in Pretoria and he had used AirLink a number of times, and he had said that they just don't use that because jet bridges can be expensive, and that's the way AirLink are using to sort of like save money by using buses instead of using jet bridges. But in my opinion, I feel like jet bridges just adds on to the whole flying experience. But let me know in the comments down below if you think jet bridges are important for airlines to put it as an add-on, or maybe they should just take it as a loophole to sort of like minimize costs for themselves. Number three, I'm comparing these airlines based on luggage handling. And luggage handling can be like a big dynamic situation. It's just from like how they handle their luggages, or like how often people get like missing luggages with certain airlines, and like how the whole thing is handled when a person has had missing luggage. So I would say with South African Airways, I'd never had an incident. And with Air Zambia, my luggage situation has always been fairly okay. I'd had a missing luggage once with Air Zambia, and it was handled quite professionally, and I'd appreciated that. But with my friends, AirLink, I don't know how to say this, but I did not even make this video purposely for the purpose of like smashing on AirLink, but it's just that my experience has not always been the best with them. I don't know if it's just me, or it's just the airline, or it's just like bad timing for me. So I'd had missing luggage with AirLink twice. And on the first time, it was fairly handled. I liked how they handled it. But on the second time, I'd had a missing luggage in Tanzania, and with AirLink, of course. And I didn't like the fact that they had asked me to go pick up my own luggage at the airport. And then I'd inquired for delivery, and they did not deliver my luggage. Like I had to incur extra cost to go pick up my luggage because they had misplaced it in the first place. And in that case specifically, my luggage was misplaced because there was a flight delay. Their own airline had delayed my flight, and I had a connecting flight with another airline of their own. So they did not like transfer my luggage to the next flight. Hence, when I arrived at my destination, I did not have my luggages because when they were connecting me between the two flights, which were all their own, they did not transfer my luggage. So I was like I would understand if it was my error that led to my bag being missing. But if it's your problem, I think the least you could do is just deliver my luggage for free. But that was not the case. So like on luggage handling, I did not like that thing about AirLink because I think they can do better in this way. Number 4, I'll compare these airlines based on their in-flight entertainment categories. And I loved the in-flight entertainment for South African Airways. Like they have quite an extensive option for you to choose from. There's like a lot of things you can do. And the fact that they have that thing where you can just scan and like watch a bunch of movies on your phone, I love that. Apparently, Air Zambia and AirLink does not have any in-flight entertainment apart from like the magazine. So I think they can do better. They can try to sort of like learn from South African Airways, because I really love my experience with South African Airways because of the in-flight entertainment. There's even one movie that I was so much sold into it that I could not wait for my next flight to finish that movie, because you know how it in-flight entertainment works. You can only use that link when you're on the flight. So I just love the whole experience. So number 6, I'm going to compare these flights based on the food. And on food, I'm going to look at like how tasty the food was. Was it warm? Was it so and so and so? So on the food, I personally love the food that was served in Air Zambia and South African Airways. I did not as much like the food that was served on AirLink, because it was cold. It felt so much like, even the packaging was not nice. Like, I hope I still have the package. I'll add it here if I have it. But yeah, I like the food that was served by South African Airways. And I also like the food that was served by Air Zambia, but I did not like as much the food that was served by AirLink, because it was cold and the packaging was not nice and it felt like it's not fresh. So that also didn't click it for me. But the food that was served by Air Zambia and South African Airways, it felt like very fresh, but also it was warm and it was tastier. So I feel like all these small details sort of like they improve the overall experience of the customers. And I think airlines need to pay more attention on these details, even if some of them can seem mundane or some of them can seem like too small for them to care. But I think if they care about their customers, they need to be like very much detail oriented. Number 7, I'm going to compare these airlines based on their hospitality that they have. So among South African Airways, AirLink, and Air Zambia, I loved all of them on the side of like hospitality. I think the attendants are very well much trained. So on hospitality, I think they all sort of like deliver around the same rate. But if you're looking on the side of being detail oriented, I think South African Airways, their attendants, they're very much like attention to details more than the rest. Although they both sort of like provide around the same rate or like around the same value of like hospitality, but I think South African Airways sort of like differentiates itself in sort of like being a bit more attentive to the details of the customer. Let me know if you've flown with any of these airlines, if you've ever flown with South African Airways, if you've ever flown with AirLink or Air Zambia. Let me know how your experience was in the comments down below, and then you can see if maybe these things, it was just me or it's really the airlines that sort of like need sort of like change something. But also don't forget to subscribe and share, as I'll be sharing more of these videos of my experiences and lessons that I'm learning as I travel, so that you guys can know better and do better. Until next time, adios.